Hello everybody! Yesterday somebody pointed out that I've not been doing any update about my Atari Mega STe revamp project to date. So recently I got an interface for the Atari ST, a Raspberry Pi MT-32, and I thought that maybe I should do a small presentation about it and show the progress on the machine itself. So behind me there is a Roland MT-32, which is basically something which was relatively expensive back in the days, and many of the Sierra Online games support natively this. So all these games, they can play the standard chip music, but you can also set up so you get MIDI music with the MT-32. These days these things are like unobtainium. They are extremely expensive, and even when you manage to find one, most probably it's going to have some problems, some modifications. And it's also electronically very noisy, so getting the sound out without having it's kind of difficult. Which is where the MT-32 Pi project comes in. So this thing is just basically a Raspberry Pi, standard, with a small, what is it? It's called a hat. Something that plugs on top and provides a MIDI port, and you need to update some firmware, and then you get the thing working. You can get all that from just search for MT-32 Pi, and then you get documentation. I got mine from a seller in Sweden, but there are other available. The biggest problem is actually not finding the hat, but to get a Raspberry, because they tend to be a bit out of stocks. I'm going to show you the difference. So that one is Laser Suit Larry, but I'm not going to show that one. I'm going to show Space Quest 3, which I already installed on the Atari. So let's see how that sounds. So there we go. So I'm going to record directly the Atari ST. I'm not going to through the speakers, because my machine still has some electronic problem and is doing a bit of a ground humming. So it's not going to sound as good as it could be, but yeah. So before I start, here you can see the updates. So I got a Goex, which is like a SD card, a floppy emulator, where you can select things. Here the Raspberry Pi. In that I do have, let's see, an Ultra Saturn. Here I have my two screens, which are connected through a massive cable on some 90-degree angle connectors with some RGB to VGA or on the T42 card. Because these games also supported the monochrom screens using the standard tune chip. So you can change the sound. You can see music Atari ST3 voices. Here you can go in music devices and choose whatever option you want. So I'm going to stay on Atari ST3 voice. So basically that's going to be the worst experience you can have, which is black and white with Atari ST sound chip. So at this point the game starts. So and then you can either use the mouse or the keyboard to move around. Yeah, just for the lol, there is also a boss key. Okay, I get it, you don't want your boss to know that you've been playing Space Quest 3. In fact, you don't want your boss to know that you've been playing Space Quest 3 for 0 hours, 4 minutes and 55 seconds, etc, etc. So, let's now stop this painful experience and switch to color mode and MT-32. So, as I said, this thing is using... so I'm going to switch off. Then I'm going to switch this thing here, which is a color mode. And in theory, if I restart the machine, it will boot in color. A bit of time to start. Okay. So I have multiple configurations. That one starts only on the shifter screen because when the ET4000 is enabled, the game tries to use this card and miserably fails. So, up. Games, Space Quest 3, music. Now we select music device Roland MT-32 Sound module. Install game. Yes. So let's start the game now that I have plugged properly the MT-32 instead of the Atari STe internals. So as you can hear, even the sound effects are made with the MT-32, so it's much more punchy. So there you go. It looks like there is a bad case of keyboard buffering. And something that the MT-32, I'm not sure if you can see, was also able to display messages. So here it said insert bucazoid, which normally you will have had on the screen of the device. So I hope the sound was not too bad. These creative speakers are surprisingly beefy in the bass. So what's next for this machine? So now I end up having this stuff uses USB power, these use USB power, this is USB power. So I will now need to have some kind of USB hub attached on the machine. And this is the output of the ST with a filter, and this is connected to the MT-32, so I will need some kind of mixer to be able to have both at the same time connected on the speakers. Plus the ability to have all that redirected to my line mixer, so I can record the thing and send it on the PC, so I can do the video with the proper sound. Which will also require some ground installation or something. Yeah, so there you go. I hope that was interesting. I still need to reattach all that. I still have the problem of being able to access the cards in the Ultraceton, which is why it's not reattached. But yeah, so that's the status of my Mega STe now. Bye bye.